we are going to go to Avignon. Actually, Avignon on the tour is on the last day, but I didn't want to leave this lecture last because I want to finish with Van Gogh, which is one of my favorite lectures. But in the chronology of the sites that we are going to visit, Avignon will be a day trip we're going to do on our last day. Let's see. Okay, so here you can see Avignon, and we are staying in Arles, so it's not too far. Okay, all right. So Avignon, let's go to Avignon. The two biggest attractions there are the Pope's Palace and the bridge of Avignon, le pont d'Avignon, Avignon Bridge, whose official name is Bénézet Bridge. Bénézet, I'll explain to you why it's named after this fellow named Bénézet. And all of this, the bridge and the Pope's Palace, which you see there in the distance, are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So let's actually start with the bridge. As you can see, it's the bridge that goes nowhere. If you go too far, you'll definitely not go on the other bank. You'll start swimming. It used to have, it wasn't like this all the time, obviously. It dates from the 12th century and only 4 arches are left. It used to have 22 arches, imagine, spanning the Rhone River. This is the Rhone River. 22 arches, only 4 are left. So this is how it looked on its heyday. So it's going from one end to another, and this print is dating from the 1500s, and the building years are 1177 to 85. And this is a very important bridge because basically from the Kingdom of France, this is your only way to go by land, you know, without having a boat or a ferry or something to the Mediterranean world. So this is an incredibly important bridge for commerce, for tourism, for religious purposes. A lot of pilgrims will take this in order to go to Rome, perhaps to go to to Spain, to the Camino de Compostela, to see St. James' remains. So it is very much used, and also it's a cash cow because whenever you cross the bridge, you had to pay a toll. So for Avignon, you can imagine that this was a boom in terms of revenue from the very beginning. But it didn't survive many of the floods that the Rhone River experienced, and it wasn't probably built as well as it needed to be. So that's why so much of it kept collapsing. They kept repairing it, and then at the end, they basically gave up. So it happened around 1600 when they said, okay, it's enough. We cannot repair this any longer. So they let it collapse for good. So I guess the remains are in the water somewhere of the missing parts, the bridge to nowhere in Avignon. By the way, you all probably know this nursery rhyme or children's song sur le pont d'Avignon, which goes along with a certain dance. And at the end of this lecture, I will be introducing you to a guest, a dancer, a medieval dancer, and he will be showing us the steps, how to dance this. Because whoever goes on the bridge, instead of showing a ticket, they have to show that they know the steps. So we need to learn the steps, otherwise we cannot go on the bridge. It's very particular steps. And then you come on the bridge, and then you sing the song and you dance the steps. So we need to learn how to dance this. And I'm saying this in particular to our travelers. If we don't know the steps, we won't be able to go on the bridge. So please stick around until the very end, or make sure that you watch the video properly, Like I said, this is going to be our ticket to visit the bridge. Okay, so there is actually a chapel, oddly, on the bridge itself. It's called the Saint Nicolas Chapel, and it's, even though it's dedicated to Saint Nicolas, it used to hold the relics of the fellow whose name is attached to this bridge, Monsieur Benezet. Alors, Benezet, who was he? There is a He's a man of legends. Actually, he was never a man, I think, because all that we know, he was a boy. He was a young, maybe teenager. He was a shepherd. And then he had a visitation from Mary, mother of Jesus, maybe in a dream, or I don't know how that happened. But anyway, Mary visits him. And then Mary tells him that he needs to have a bridge built here on the spot. I mean, why did Mary got involved into all this? It's absolutely no explanation to that. But somehow she was wandering around here and then just find this Benezet guy and then told him to please make sure that you convince your people in the municipality and in the council of the town to have a bridge built here. Well, of course, he goes and tells everyone, the authorities, that Mary came and then told him to build a bridge here, and nobody, of course, paid any attention to him. Like they kicked him out and took him seriously. Well, he did something that was absolutely miraculous. He lifted a stone so big, so heavy that even multiple men wouldn't be able to lift it, and certainly not one teenager like this. So he lifts the stone and then he brings it to the very spot where he says the bridge needs to be built, and then he drops it right there, and everybody is amazed. So here is, for example, on the top left picture that shows Saint Benezet. He porte la pierre. He's carrying the stone, and this piece is in the Saint Didier Church. It's one of the churches in Avignon. It's a stained glass. There is also a statue dedicated to this miraculous event, and actually the stone has become his attribute. As you know, in art, when I mention the word attribute, I mean that object that helps identify some saints. So in this case, this is a huge block of stone, and also the shepherd's staff that he's carrying. So those are his attributes. That's how, if you see a figure like this in any art, on any statues, you will know that it's Benezet. Okay, so of course he's canonized for coming up with this initiative and convincing all these people, and it's a huge success, of course, and Avignon will benefit very much financially for having had a bridge like this built, but unfortunately it wasn't built strong enough that it didn't survive. I think it's too narrow. As you can see, it is quite narrow, and the song, it says sur le pont d'Avignon, l'on y danse sur le pont d'Avignon, l'on y danse tout en rond. Alors, sur le pont, it's on the bridge. But, I mean, the bridge, it's quite narrow. So if they're going to, sur le pont d'Avignon, on y danse, it means on the bridge, we're going to be dancing. In other words, we're going to party. But the narrowness of the bridge is not very conducive to bringing too many people to do a party and making a dance of sorts. So some people speculated that maybe it wasn't sur le pont, on the bridge, but maybe it was sous le pont, under the bridge, because sous le pont d'Avignon, under the bridge, where those missing spans were actually going over land at parts. There was some sort of islands there that still are there actually. Well, there may very well be hundreds of people partying and dancing right under the bridge. So sous le pont, under the bridge, is more likely than sur le pont, on the bridge. Anyway, but the song is sur le pont, on top of a bridge. So because of that, we have to dance as a group I know. You guys aren't maybe too much of a dancer, but like this is our ticket, so please let's learn this, okay? So we're gonna be dancing on top of the bridge, and we'll have to also sing the songs. There's lots to do. We have to deserve being on top of the bridge. This isn't something that you can just walk in. Yes, there's an effort to be made. The other things are also very impressive in Avignon are the city walls. One of the very few medieval cities where the ramparts or those protective walls are incredibly well preserved. There's another one also that's competes with Avignon is Carcassonne, which isn't too far from there. But anyway, so these walls are still standing and looking absolutely great, magnificent, in very good shape. Such good shape that at some point some urban planners came up with the idea that maybe they should use these walls to lay uh, a track for a train to go over all around it. So luckily a railway track was never, installed there, but the idea actually became quite serious at some point, but they didn't do it, luckily. Anyway, so they are standing all around it. But um, the most extraordinary building in Avignon is the Palace of the Popes, which we see in the distance, completely dominating the city. It's huge. Well, it's so huge that it's considered to be the largest Gothic palace. I should probably say the largest medieval palace on on Earth. Also UNESCO World Heritage Site. So this palace was the seat of the papacy for about 70 years. So I repeat, the seat of the papacy for about 70 years. You know where the Pope is, right? I mean, it's in Rome. What happening? What happened that the papacy, I mean, when we say papacy, we're talking, the Pope and all of his people and all of his ambassadors and all of his employees and all of his court, all of these people uh, moved at some point in the 1300s to Avignon and spent nearly 70 years in Avignon. And in the course of their stay, lots of things happened, and they built this palace. And I'm going to tell you the story as to how this happened. Okay, so as a warning, this story that I'm going to tell you, uh, Maria, my wife, usually asks me to tell the story because she really, usually we're at night and she wants to fall asleep. So I'm going to try to make this not boring. But as soon as I start to tell the stories of the popes of Avignon, for some reason, Maria starts to fall asleep, which isn't a very good sign. I had to share this with you. So it's almost like a warning. So maybe you need to have some coffee or something, I don't know, to stay awake. No, I'm just kidding. It's really not that boring. I think I love telling the story, and I don't have that many opportunities. Last time I told the story, it was like 2 years ago. So let's do it again. This period is known as the Avignon papacy. All right, so these are the years 1309, 1377. All right, 1309, 1377. For us American, this feels really like really far, far away, very, very old and long time ago. It's almost like we didn't even exist, of course. And Petrarch, so I'll bring him up a little bit later, called this the Babylonian captivity. So we'll also see as to why he coins it that way. So the Pope was supposed to be in Rome, and the reason why they are in Rome because Peter was, crucified there, and the Pope is supposed to be the Bishop of Rome. So and then you've got the St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. So all of these things have been abandoned and left behind to come to Avignon. I mean, something cataclysmic must have happened for these people to leave Rome and to come to Avignon. So here are kind of the popes that I'm going to bring it up. Um, and then the Avignon papacy are the gray area over there at the center. But I need to start the story a little bit earlier with Saint Celestine. He didn't stay very long, this poor guy. Saint Celestine, here he is. So he only stayed uh, 5 months. So this man really was not meant to become a pope. Popes are elected. There's a conclave, and they got elected. So here he is. He's put in this position. But this man was really not meant to be an ambassador or to be an administrator. All he wanted to do is actually be a monk. So when he became a pope, he was really very unhappy about that. And shortly after his reign started, he decreed that it was possible for a pope to resign. So he decreed that this was not something that the pope was almost expected or allowed to do. Actually, you were kind of marrying to the church by becoming a pope. You were continuing in the footsteps of Peter. I mean, imagine what an important role this is. Well, he took it more like a job, and he thought that it was possible for a human to be extracted from this job, from this responsibility. So he decreed that, and immediately after, he did just that. He resigned, and he became a monk. And after a while he did that, he also left a piece of paper, kind of his thoughts that it was impossible for for someone to be both a pope and a good person. Well, I guess the power corrupts people, and I guess that's what he was making allusion to. Well, his successor is going to be this guy, Boniface. Okay, so it's Boniface. I have a hard time to pronounce his name. Boniface. Okay, so I keep saying Boniface because it sounds more French, but it's Boniface. Okay, so Boniface the Eighth. So takes the throne, and he's definitely one of the most controversial popes among 200 and I don't know, I can't remember, 30 plus popes that came and went since Peter. So this poor Celestine who abdicated, who resigned from becoming a pope, but he still was alive when Boniface was elected. And Boniface thought that this was undermining his authority, his legitimacy to have a living pope still just out, even though the guy went to a monastery and he's not even around, he doesn't care. But Boniface really had an issue with that. So he's going to go to the extreme of arresting him. And Boniface, knowing that, starts to actually run away. Boniface gets arrested on the account of heresy. I mean, they trump up things like that. And then he's going to be put in some sort of a jail or house arrest, and he's going to die. This poor guy, he was in his 80s as a result of that. So now that Celestine is gone, Boniface feels now that he can completely take control of the power. And he's really a power-hungry guy. But his contemporary is this French king, King Philippe IV of France, also known as Philippe le Bel. Le Bel meaning handsome, Philippe the Fair, Philippe le Bel. Be careful, there is another Philippe the Fair in history that's connected to the Burgundian duchy. So let's not confuse, and that's happening more in the 1400s. But this Philip the Fair is, look at the years, 1268, 1314, and he's reigning between 1285 to 1314. So he's also known as the Iron King, iron, like he's very, very strong. So anyway, the two of them starts to have some issues. French kingdom is having a lot of tension with England at that point. There is a territory that's being contested, and that's going to lead to, I mean, Philip knows that eventually, because of this problem that's happening with this land, uh, there is going to be most likely a war between the French kingdom and England. Okay, so he needs to raise some money. He needs to prepare himself for this eventuality that there's going to be a war. So where is he going to find the money? He's going to find the money where there is money, which is the church. The church has a lot of money as they collect money from left and right. And knowingly, the French church, the French Catholic Church. So he says that, hey, the French Catholic Church is in my realm, in my territory, so I have the right to levy taxes on the church that's in my kingdom. So he starts to levy taxes on the church. And Boniface is like, hold on a second. You can't do that. It's under my authority. I am the one who should be getting all the money. They have to send the money to me. You can't do that. Yes, I can. No, you cannot. So the two of them start to start a big conflict. So eventually, Boniface is going to cave and is going to let Philip collect the money. But you would think that at this point everything is okay, that maybe there is no more conflict between them, but it's not going to end there, because Philip really wants, on top of getting the money, he wants to show that he is above, politically speaking, above Boniface. And he is actually trying to do a bunch of maneuvering like that, and Boniface is not going for it, and Boniface is going to do something which is absolutely unthinkable for a monarch to be accused of that. He's going to excommunicate. He's going to excommunicate this monarch, Philip IV. Excommunicate meaning kick him out of being a Christian. And being a monarch is actually basically being invested by the power from God. So how can you be excommunicated and still legitimately have that power? So what Boniface did is absolutely the worst scenario for a Christian, a Catholic king. So Philip IV is not going to go for it. He's going to send his army, I mean, a number of operatives, to arrest Boniface, put him in some jail, and they're going to ask him to rescind the decree by which he excommunicated Philip IV. He's going to refuse. He's going to say, over my dead body, I'm not going to do that. Well, Philip IV people are going to rough up the Pope, and one of them is going to slap the Pope. This has never happened before. He's going to slap the Pope, and this is known as the slap that was heard around the world. So this is the Agnani slap. So this what I'm telling you has really entered the history books. It's really, really very interesting. So this feud between Boniface and Philip the Fair leads to this terrible situation where a pope is being slapped. In any case, this is happening in Agnani. Agnani is in the suburb of Rome. I have to tell you that Rome, during those years, is going through so much conflict between feuding families that it becomes very unsafe, actually, to reside in Rome. So the popes, they keep actually starting to go all around to Milan and to other places that they own in order to stay safe. And one of those places is Agnani, not too far from Rome. And this is where this incident happened. And the people of Philip IV are going to just, again, put the Pope in some house arrest. But the people of Agnani, who were, are very happy to have the Pope visiting them, come and free him up. But by the time this man is out of jail or whatever he was in cell, he's in such a bad shape that months later he dies. So Boniface dies. By the way, I love this name Boniface because face, like a face, bon, like nice, But then after he gets the slap, I always think of Malifas because it kind of hurts after and he doesn't look that good. So Boniface, Malifas, that's why I can remember his name because there's a face on it in his name. So then, shortly after, another pope is elected, Benedict the 11th. This man also is not going to stay very long, only 8 months. He will definitely cancel that decree that excommunicated Philip IV. So Philip IV is completely coming out of this totally victorious, you know. And after Benedict the Ninth dies, I mean Benedict the 11th dies, you have a new pope that's going to be uh, 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 selected, and that's Clement V. And Clement V is a French pope. He's a French. He's not Italian. Okay, so Clement V comes, and Clement V is I can't remember whether he's a bishop or not, but he's definitely based in the south of France. He's based in the south of France, and he doesn't want to go to Rome. He doesn't want to go and do his job in Rome. He kind of wastes his time and stick around, and you know he goes to one city, he goes to another city, and he for 3 years, 4 years, he will be an itinerant pope. He is not going to go to Rome. The other thing also that's interesting is that he may have had a lover, you know, in the south of France. So that may be a reason. He may have actually wanted to please this famous king that I'm talking about, Henry the Fourth. I mean Philip the Fourth. So he may be under his influence. So anyway, and also Rome was very unsafe. So multiple reasons as to why he doesn't go to Rome. So for several years he's going to stick around in the south of France, and then he's going to decide to establish his court a little bit a more permanent way in Avignon. And perhaps this may not be very familiar to you, but the popes, the papacy owned territories a little bit here and there, mostly donated by charity, by kings and princes and dukes, etc. So they have little territories here and there all over maybe south of France and definitely in Italy. And there is an area called Contavenissin, which I'm showing there at the center, where the two arrows are kind of coming close. Contavenissin, it's a papal state. It's a territory owned by the papacy. But it just happens that Avignon is inside this territory, but Avignon does not belong to that papal state. Avignon belongs to the Provence realm, to the county of Provence. Okay, so it's very weird. I mean, the Avignon is inside the Contavenissin, but then it doesn't belong to it. It's an enclave of sorts, and it belongs to the county of Provence. So the Count of Provence owns Avignon. He certainly, because probably of all this vicinity being a very friendly territory, Clement is going to choose to move the court and establish as a permanent, court the Avignon. So here we go. We are in Avignon, even though it's not a papal territory. So he is the itinerant pope. So he's going to reign for about 9 years. And since he doesn't have a palace or anything like that, he's going to stay at the bishop's palace there. Petrarch, I mentioned earlier, has been kicked out from Italy. I can't remember now where they were. I think they were in Florence. His parents are going through some trouble, so they have to go into exile, and they work for the papal court. So now that the papal court has moved to Avignon, so his parents moved to Avignon or near Avignon. So Petrarch actually ends up going to Avignon. Kind of interesting. So next comes John the 22nd. So this Pope is going to stick around for a long time. He's staying about 18 years, and he's going to transform this Avignon from a modest Provençal town into a capital uh, of the Western Church, basically. This is what he's going to do. And he knows that the papacy is here to stay at least for a long time. So, so he's also a French descendant. He's a French pope. And I'm bringing this Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Those who like wine, I'm sure they are aware of this brand, of this appellation, Châteauneuf-du-Pape, because it's related to a residence, a summer residence that he establishes a little bit north east of Avignon, and where he's going to have his own vineyard, his own wineries. And he's going to have a beautiful also palace there, which doesn't exist anymore. I think it was destroyed in the 18th century. But anyway, Châteauneuf-du-Pape is connected to John the 22nd for having had a summer residence there and also his own vineyard. So this is where the tradition of growing this great wine comes from this pope. So Petrarch is growing up, and he's going to school in the area, but also in Montpellier and in Grenoble, I believe. Goes to law school, but he's much interested, of course, in literature. And he's around 24 years old when he meets his famous Laura. His famous Laura in a church which is in Avignon, a small church that doesn't exist anymore as a church. The part of the building still stands. And Petrarch, if you don't know it, he's considered the father of humanism. He's very much known for his sonnets. And he basically developed the literature in the Renaissance movement. And Laura is going to be an amazing source of inspiration for him. It's about an impossible love. She's married. She's got children. Actually, I think she ended up having 11 kids. And so definitely with 11 kids, I don't think she can have much of an affair. She must be quite busy. So Petrarch is in love with someone who can who did not even have time to look at him. In fact, the two of them didn't even talk. He really fell in love, completely platonic, but the love was so powerful that there are countless, practically sonnets and poems dedicated to her. So yeah, here is the building that's standing, part of that church. Of course, many of the other chambers don't exist anymore, but part of it is still standing, and it's turned into a theater, I understand. And then there is a plaque, there is a sign that says Ici existait au XIVe siècle l'église Saint-Clair. Okay, so it says here stood in the 14th century the church of Saint-Clair. Saint-Clair, there is a spelling, I mean, it's an I missing there. Saint-Clair, in which at dawn on April 6, 1327, Petrarch conceived for Laura a sublime love that made them immortal. This is the plaque that's posed on the facade of this building. So here they are, Petrarch and Laura. So they are together up there, hopefully, but definitely not down here. Okay, so after John the 22nd, we have Benedict the 12th from 1334, 1342. So less than 8 years. So here he is, but he is the one who's going to start building the very palace we're going to visit a little bit later. So that section that he builds is called the Old Palace. This is the old section. I mean, it's ironic because the new is almost as old as the old. But this is the part that he builds, and it's extremely austere. It's like a completely fortified. It looks like more like a castle than a palace. I guess they were very concerned about their safety. It was still felt very unsafe, and they wanted to make sure that they have enough protection with all these towers and crenellations that you see there. But there are several important rooms. The conclave is happening there. Another one, they were going to elect a new pope. That's in that section, in the old section, and other large rooms are also there. And it's very Gothic. You have all this roof vaulting going on the ceilings. So here it is on the left side, just in the back, so we cannot see the whole expanse of this old palace. When you look at from the front, you can only see a portion of it, and all the right side is going to be built a little bit later. So this is this is this is it. All those thick walls and minimal decoration, very narrow windows that you see, all of that, those high towers, those were the early first iteration of the palace. Then will come the next pope, and this pope to me is the most interesting of all of them, Clement VI. About 10 years he's going to be on the throne. Very, very eventful years. Lots is going to happen here. And this is when Clement VI is going to really turn this little town, which was already attracting, I have to say, a lot of people. A lot of people came down to benefit from all the business that the papacy was bringing to Avignon. Avignon's population is already skyrocketing and lots of constructions going on. And all these diplomats and all these people from all around Europe are certainly coming, but it's going to take even a much bigger dimension with Clement VI, because this man also has aristocratic background. He loves luxury. He's a big spender. He throws parties nonstop. He invites artists. Someone like Matteo Giovanetti is going to come. Simone Martini, whose work I like very much, and I've seen in so many great museums. Turns out that he was invited by him to come and produce some frescoes, which unfortunately did not survive. But just the fact that he came to Avignon is such a big deal. Simone Martini, probably the greatest artist of his generation. This is an artist that followed Giotto and Duccio, so the next generation. And so he's going to decorate also the palace with a lot of frescoes, which we are going to see. Many of them have survived, but not the ones made by Simone Martini. And his period, 1342, 1352. Look at the years. If you know your little history of what happened in Europe during that time, something called the Black Death happened in 1348. So he was the Pope during this terrible pestilence that just affected Europe to such a degree that half of its population basically was decimated. Anyway, so he is the one who's going to build the new section, relatively new. So that's basically the most visible section of the Palace of the Popes. Also, of course, the Gothic style. So you're going to have lots of, big rooms, party rooms, ceremonial halls. You're going to have very fancy apartments, richly decorated apartments. You're going to have chapels. Large courtyards are going to be introduced. So that's what he does. We will visit the chapels during which were built during his time. This is the St. John Chapel, and Petrarch is going to now, at this point, is growing up and is having some opinions here as to what's going on with the papacy in Avignon, and is very critical of that. And he starts actually to write to some important people, to some rulers, saying that the papacy is completely corrupt, that there are all this wasteful money that's being spent on lavish, extravagant events. So he's being extremely critical of what the papacy is doing under Clement's reign. And it's very interesting because he's kind of ahead of his time by almost 200 years before Martin Luther and the Reformation. So he's almost anticipating a forerunner of Martin Luther, Petrarch. This is a side of Petrarch that's little known. And he's the one who's going to coin somehow this period of the popes in Avignon as the Babylonian captivity. So because he wants this papacy to leave Avignon, he wants the papacy to go back to Rome, to go back home where Peter's remains are there. So this makes no sense to him as to what these popes are doing in Avignon. So Avignon at this point it becomes really overcrowded. It starts to smell really bad. The odors from the drains are unbearable. And at the same time, the whole of Provence is affected by a wind called the Mistral. And when the Mistral comes, it's all good because all this foul air is washed away. But the wind is also very unpleasant because it's an incessant wind. If you experience that, it really drives you crazy. So there was actually a saying that came up during this time. It says, "Windy Avignon, pest-ridden when there is no wind, wind-pestered when there is." So this is what they said of Avignon during that time. Okay, so uh, the pestilence, the Black Death, that's going to come and devastate all of Europe, makes it to, of course, Avignon. And you saw how Avignon becomes so overcrowded. So, of course, a lot of people are contaminated by this, and many are going to die. So many that, of course, none of the local cemeteries are enough. So this Pope, I have to say, he's going to show tremendous amount of magnanimity despite having other sides that are very critical and controversial. But during this time, he's going to act in a very brave manner. He's going to be right in the middle of all of these people, and he's going to just give the last sacraments to many of the dying sick people. And he will actually purchase lands and lands for those lands to be turned, and uh, he's going to turn them into um, uh, how to say burial places. So he's going so that he can just get rid of all of these bodies that are all over just the town because the deaths are piling by the thousands. Anyway, yeah, he's going to consecrate those lands so that he can bury everyone. But actually, even those lands weren't going to be enough. Then they're going to toss all the dead bodies in the Rhone River, and he's going to consecrate the Rhone River. And just, I mean, it's kind of strange to do that, but that's what he's doing it. And also, he's going to say that all the ones who die from the pestilence, their sins will be absolute and is going to be atoned for their sins. So this is what he's going to do. The other thing that's very impressive about this Pope is that he's going to decree that the Jews are not being accused of this pestilence because a lot of people out there they didn't know what was hitting them and they thought that the Jews were behind that, and there were many of them were actually being burned at the stake all over Europe, thinking that they were causing the plague. So Pope Clement is going to protect the Jews by issuing a bull, a papal decree, saying that they had nothing to do with this because the Jews were dying just at the same rate as Christians or non-Jews. So one thing also is interesting is that he spared from catching the disease because whenever he goes back to his office, he orders that all around him, I mean, I don't know how this is done, but that there are fires that are being kept. I mean, he doesn't know, of course, what causes the plague, but somehow he has this idea that putting fires and the smoke is going to keep perhaps this pestilence away. But by doing that, he actually kept the rats away, and his palace as a result of that I think was spared to a certain degree. At least he was spared, so he survives the pestilence. Okay, so here is something absolutely incredible. In the middle of the pestilence, while this is happening in 1348, comes this monarch, a runaway queen. She comes crashing to the doors of Avignon, of the palace of the popes. Her name is Joanna of Naples, and she is also the Countess of Provence. So it's complicated through marriages, blah, 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 from inheritance. She's also the ruler, the lord of the whole Provence. And you remember that Avignon belongs to the county of Provence. So she is the lord of Avignon. So Joanna of Naples, but she lives in Naples, is now somehow comes and seeks protection with the Pope. What happened? Well, turns out that her husband was found dead, half mutilated, uh, and found on the ground of her palace uh, at night. The crime had been committed in the middle of the night, so she's saying that she was sleeping, she didn't hear anything, and next door where her husband Andrew is sleeping, the crime happened during that time. Anyway, so it was a heinous crime, mutilated, terrible, gruesome situation. But then they accuse her for not having ring the alarms and not having said anything in the beginning when all this commotion must have been going. So they think that she's behind the assassination of her husband. So and this fellow Andrew was killed. His brother is the king of Hungary. Hungary. Okay, so he wants to avenge his brother. So he's sending an army to avenge his brother because he is certain that Joanna of Naples is behind this crime. So she finds out about the fact that, oh my God, this army is coming after me. So she flees her own kingdom and then goes to Avignon, which is part of her, you know, county. She owns also that land. But at that time, the papacy happens to be there too. Okay, so this is what happens. So she asked the Pope to create some sort of a court, a council where she will be said that she's absolutely innocent, that she has nothing to do with this, and in exchange, she will let Avignon become a papal property. So she will exchange her absolution in exchange for this city, and plus she will also get some money because she was also running out of money to pay for all her retinue. Anyway, so the Pope accepts. So there is a whole setup like this where they announce that actually she's innocent, and then this way the papacy can add to their books and the territories that they own Avignon. So now Avignon becomes a papal state as a result of that. So this is how the Conte the venison now, which had Avignon, now it's all complete in one place. So here is okay. Petrarch, back to him. Laura will also succumb to the plague. She will die in 1348, and of course Petrarch is going to be devastated by the loss of his love. And will write many more sonnets about that, and including this Trionfo della Fama, the triumph of fame, dedicated to her. So this is what's happening. Okay, so all right, so you see how Clement VI's events, just so much going on, and Avignon becomes a papal territory. Innocent Six. After that, we are trying. I mean, there was so much money spent by Clement VI that the coffers were becoming almost empty because of that extravagant life that Clement was living. So he had to reorganize everything and try to get some money back. So this is what he's known for restoring the papal finances, but also he will finish the new palace, and he will also finish building all these city walls that I showed you earlier. Um, and also there is another event that's going on. The French with the English did end up starting a war. This is the famous Hundred Years' War that you may have heard, and Joan of Arc and all that. That's going to come later. And because of all those tensions going on and all those instability, of course, he wanted to have Avignon protected. So these walls were also built because of all that war going on next door to Avignon. Okay, so let's see. Blessed Urban the Fifth. After that, it's not really very important. We are trying to bring the papacy back to Rome. So he tries. He actually moves the papacy to Rome, but again, Rome is so unsafe. There's so much conflict going on that he's only going to spend 3 years there, and then he will return to Avignon, safe Avignon. So that was, but it starts the process, and that process is going to be completed with Gregory the 11th, and he will be the one bringing the papacy back to Rome, and he will end the Avignon papacy in 1377, but then he's not going to live very long after he moves the papacy to Rome, just about a year, and his death is going to lead to the election of a pope that nobody likes, Urban the Fifth. And Urban the Fifth's election is going to be so controversial that it's going to create two factions among the cardinals, and they're gonna have another election, believe it or not, and that other election is going to lead to the creation of two other popes. I'm trying to find my slide, but I'm not finding it. So you're going to have actually two anti-popes that are going to come. Two anti-popes. Here we go. Two anti-popes on the very bottom. The reason why I'm kind of looking like this is because I don't have my usual screen and I cannot see very well here. So yeah, so you're going to have two anti-popes, and those popes are going to return back to Avignon and going to say, you know what, we were just fine here. So you're going to have popes in Avignon and a pope in Rome. So you have at the same time two popes. So imagine if you are, I don't know, in Spain or in Burgundy, and you want to write to pope, which one do you choose? So Europe needed to make choices. So this is what happens. So Europe kind of split between those who are following the anti popes in Avignon, or those who are following the Roman popes in Rome. And then some of them are switching sides too, like the ones that are in light gray are like from the Holy Roman Empire. They start with Avignon and then they switch to Rome. All of this will come to an end in 1417, when finally Martin V will be the one who will finally be selected as the sole pope. And believe it or not, I mean, I haven't even told you, but there was even a third pope. That was so. There was a moment where there were three popes. There was another council that happened in Pisa, and then another pope was elected there, hoping that it will kick out the two others. But no, the two others stayed where they are. So now you had three popes. So all of these shenanigans is going to very much affect the sanctity, the authority of the papacy. So now you see this weakening of the respect that the papacy is drawing is slowly and surely leading toward the Reformation that's going to come in early 1500s, but with other individuals who are going to come and criticize also in the 1400s, like Jan Hus was going to do that, and it's going to be, of course, burned at the stakes, etc., etc. But the seeds of the crisis that's to come with the Reformation were strongly planted during this Avignon papacy and the schism that will ensue after that. So let's go kind of visit the palace. So this is our monumental um, palace there, very Gothic. And the two areas that I'm going to visit today are actually those two towers. One is the wardrobe tower, and the other one is the tower of the chapels. So the wardrobe tower is there on the right side, and it does belong to the new section, just attached to the old section. It's right there, as you can see, Tour de la Garde-robe. So the private rooms of the Pope was in that tower. And you're going to have these beautiful frescoes on the walls decorated, and they have survived, luckily, because, in the 19th century, the palace was used as a military barrack. And all of these walls had been painted over or plastered over. Like a military grade paint had been put over. So in some ways it protected. On the other hand, it destroyed some of the decorations. But anyway, these were certainly well preserved and quite beautiful, and with lots of details that we will see. So those travelers who are listening to this, maybe you need to bring little binoculars, but we can also use our cell phones to kind of zoom in and see some details. These fish, can you guess what type of fish this is? Mm, of course, I thought it was a dolphin, but no, it was actually a pike in the fish pond. So yeah, so this fellow here is very famous because whenever you have a publication about the Palace of the Popes, they often choose this figure, and basically is a falcon hunter. He's holding a falcon there. Very iconic picture of the series of frescoes that we have. This pose is very much reproduced. Interestingly, that has covered his head with this mesh. Not sure why. Maybe he didn't want the falcon to confuse his hair for the fur of an animal, but that will be unlikely. But again, I'm not sure as to why he needed to cover his head like this. Um, you have other figures that are all in the midst of hunting in some fashion. So this is called the bird ferreter. In other words, he has domesticated a ferret, and which helped him to catch birds or other small mammals. So he was using the ferret for that, maybe to catch rabbits. I'm not really seeing the ferret, but I am told these are bird ferreters. Here is another one who seems to be running, and or is climbing a tree and perhaps uh, pointing out to praise that sees on the floor of the forest. And then you have others who are picking fruits. So these are basically activities that the nobility likes to spend their time with. And the Pope somehow has chosen these activities as subjects for these frescoes. So here they are capturing birds in the trees. You've got also lots of decorations along the frieze, hunting scenes, more hunting scenes. And then you have on the bottom all those shields with coat of arms. And then the floor tiles have exquisite designs. I mean, if you are ever into decorating your home, there is lots of inspiration to be had here with these colors and with these motifs. They are on display there. The other tower is the Tour des Chapelles, chapels tower. There are two chapels, interestingly, on top of each other. On the second floor, you've got the Saint John Chapel, and on the third floor, you've got Saint Martial Chapel, and we can go and visit them. St. John Chapel, the frescoes are well preserved there. We cannot really enter the chapel just like this. We can see it from the side. I would say almost unfortunately. I mean, I love to spend time here because the frescoes are a lot of fun, and tells the stories of the Johns. With Johns, well, you've got often two Johns that sometimes we confuse when we see in art. One is John the Apostle or John the Evangelist. It could be the same person, or it could be two different persons. It's not really sure, but anyway, in this case, there's no doubt they think it's the same person in the case of these frescoes. And then John the Baptist is also in this his life is also told. So you have two directions. You know, if you go toward the top over there, you're going to have scenes from the life of St. John the Apostle, evangelist. And then if you go to the left, as the picture shows, those are scenes from the life of St. John Baptist. So both Johns are being depicted here. So these are, for example, these are 8 scenes that are taken from the life of John the Apostle, and starts with the boat of Zebedee, the calling. So we can just look at them and then recognize each episode. It's kind of fun, and actually several of these episodes are then found also in museums painted by famous artists. Further down, I will bring up some famous paintings on this subject. So the boat of Zebedee and the calling of sons of Zebedee is like on the right side. So here's this famous boat, and you've got John and James, those two brothers who are rowing, while the father is kind of directing. I mean, he's senior enough to tell them where to go. He's also probably holding the net as they are fishing, but for some reason his head has been completely vandalized, and there's nothing left. I'm not sure as to why it was defaced like that, but that's the scene. And then after that, let's see, I am trying to see this. And then after that, number 2 is the calling of the sons of Zebedee, basically James and John. So here they are. Jesus is like saying, okay, you guys have been selected. You're going to follow me now. And you've got Peter there. You can see Peter always with his yellow cloak. That's he was definitely among the first ones to have been called to follow Jesus. So they are already there. So now there are the next wave. The two of them, James and John, are the next to be called to follow Jesus. So this is the scene that's going on. And then number 3 is Jesus commands John to care for Mary. So now this is the scene of the crucifixion. And we have, of course, at the foot of the cross, our good old Mary Magdalene. She's always there. And then to the right side, you have St. John, and we know him because he's wearing red. And like I told you earlier, often Mary Magdalene just lets John wear the red color, and then she chooses another one. Here she has a darker robe. So John is on the right side, and John is actually having an exchange, actually listening to what Jesus is saying. And then I think I have a detail here. So there are actually words that are coming from Jesus' mouth in the direction of John, and says, Ecce mater mua. This is what he's saying. He says, here is my mother, or behold my mother. Basically, he's asking John to please care for her after he's departed. This is what this is about. And then the vision of St. John on Patmos. Well, John was actually one of the rare cases where he wasn't martyred, but he was exiled on an island of Anatolia on the Aegean Sea named Patmos. And that's where he wrote the last book of the New Testament, and that's the Revelations. And then it's a very colorful, actually very inspired book, almost surrealist. And then one of the visions that he's relating, he sees Christ holding in his jaw a two sword that has on each side of it. So I'm not describing a double-edged sword across his face. This is what we are seeing right now. So this is what he's seeing, and then he's relating all of this in his book. And that's that. Okay, resurrection. Okay. So yeah, John then becomes an old man. Sometimes it can be confusing because we started with John as young, but now he's like an older man. He end up living a very long life, and then he's going to do some miracles, and he will bless the remains of a pious woman named Drusiana. And so this is this episode that is being depicted here. He's going to commit a number of miracles, and this is one of them. Okay, so that was just samples of from the life of Saint John the Apostle or Evangelist, and then Saint John the Baptist. So we have 10 images that illustrate the life of Saint John the Baptist. Many of them are very familiar to us, art lovers. Mm, so, for example, angel appearing to Zachariah. Zachariah. Mm, so this is what's happening. Zachariah, the angel is saying, "Hey, you're gonna have a child," and he's like, "No, really, I don't believe you." He says, "You're really being bad not to believe me." So he's gonna be punished, and he will be turned into a mute. Because he doesn't believe the angel that a child is going to be expected by his wife. So he's going to be punished for that. So here he is after that, when the child is born, they ask him, "How do you want to name your child?" Of course, he's mute, so he has to write down the name. So it's kind of a funny episode. So here it is. That's happening there. The child is born, and they ask him, "Hey, you're supposed to give a name." So he has to write on a piece of paper. That's what he's holding there. A scroll. I don't know how big a scroll you need to just write John, but that's what he's doing. Maybe he has to write it 100 times, just like a punishment. So anyway, so this is the scene that's being taken. So I mean, the scene of John's birth is often found in museum painted by great artists. Here's Tintoretto, out of all great artists, the birth of John the Baptist, which is in St. Petersburg in Russia, unfortunately. And then here you can see his mom all the way who just delivered, and then you have all of these beautiful women offering their breast to this very lucky kid. And then on the right side, here is Zachariah, who's having a very hard time to just say something. Nobody pays attention to him because he's mute. And this is in Murillo, and now we are in the Baroque era, and very similar scene where you have a number of women attending to the newborn, and Zachariah is on the background on the left side. So I mean, this scene, you can confuse it and think that maybe it's Joseph, and then it's Mary, and it's maybe Jesus, but no, you have to kind of pay attention and realize that actually this is not the a nativity scene. Far from that, it can't be. We're not in a manger, so it's bound to be someone else. So who else could it be that will deserve a painting by such great painters? So it's going to be John the Baptist. Okay, so what is this? This is John the Baptist bearing witness. So yeah, he will come, and he's a forerunner to Jesus. So he will be just telling that somebody extremely important is coming, and he has a witness. He is a witness to the light, to Jesus. So this is what being painted, and then he's going to, of course, baptize Christ. Usually there is a scene of water there. There are sometimes angels that are looking up, looking to the scene here. It's really damaged, so we're not getting that many details, but that's the baptism of Christ. Of course, another subject that has countless renditions by artists, and this is by none other than Andrea del Verrocchio, who was Leonardo da Vinci's teacher. He worked in his workshop. Leonardo worked in his workshop, and one of the two angels, the one to the left, is by Leonardo himself. So this is where he contributed to this painting. And then we have the beheading of Saint John the Baptist, and of course those who came with me to Sicily and to Malta, especially to Malta. This is the painting with which we ended our tour when we went to see it at the St. John's Co-Cathedral. So you can see the difference between the approach of this, mm, you know, proto-Renaissance or yeah, a very, very early Renaissance artist, not quite Renaissance, but anyway, proto-Renaissance, medieval artist, giving us the same scene of the beheading of Saint John the Baptist, kind of straightforward, and then something extremely dramatic that's going to be painted about 300 years later. So this is how you can see the evolution of art in 300 years. From here, we are now here. It's quite a leap. What's this? And then the feast of Herod. So yeah, well, this actually should have probably come earlier because Salome was going to perform a dance in front of Herod. Is going to completely mesmerize Herod the king to such a degree that Herod is going to say, "Hey, ask me what you want," and then she didn't know what to ask, and asked her mom, and her mom said, "Ask for the head of Saint John." So that's why she goes, Salome, and asks Herod for the head of Saint John, and that's how Saint John is being killed. Well, actually, you know what? This is not the scene of the dance. This is the scene where the head is delivered. Yeah, so this makes sense now, the order. This is the head is delivered, I can see now, to Herod because this is what Salome had asked. Okay, and of course Caravaggio loves this subject of beheadings and all that, so he gave us also his own version of the scene. And you can see Salome looking the other way because this is not something that she asked. I mean, she didn't even know why all this. His mother made her ask that. So very often you will find Salome turn the other way, sometimes even sad or disgusted by this whole scene. She was manipulated by her mom. Okay, so that's how this chapel is organized. It's quite interesting, actually, quite rational. And then the Saint Martial Chapel is the one on the third floor, one above. So who's Saint Martial? I mean, honestly, I didn't know who Saint Martial was. He is not really depicted much in art, and as you know, most of what I know has come through paintings and through art. So Martial has only entered my radar because of the Palace of the Popes. Well, Saint Martial may have been a historical figure, may have lived in the third century, but it wasn't sexy enough for the locals for this man to be living in the third century. So they actually created a whole legend and made him live in the first century so that actually he could be an apostle of Jesus and actually kind of a buddy of Peter, Saint Peter. So this was important because again, like I was telling you, this whole palace is in Avignon for the papacy, for all the curia, the court of the popes to be moved to Avignon. They had to come up with a legitimate reason, story to justify being outside of Rome. They had to find somebody who's almost comparable to Peter to justify staying in a place like Avignon. So they found Martial. Too bad Martial was from the third century. It didn't matter. Let's create a whole legend and let's put him in the first century. And on top of it, let's make him a buddy of Saint Peter because Jesus goes. So this is actually, you have the whole chapel is dedicated to the life of Saint Martial. The one earlier, all of those pictures were split between the two Johns, but here all 33 pictures are dedicated. So they really want to make a case that Saint Martial was a really important saint. And then the presence of the popes of Avignon is due to the fact that this fellow who was a bishop in the area. I can't remember which town. Um, but it wasn't Avignon. But anyway, he was in the south of France, and then he was asked by Peter to evangelize the south of France, and so including Avignon. So it made perfect sense to use him as a Peter 2.0 of sorts. And it just works well because the popes are there. Okay, so here's Jesus telling St. Peter, okay, find Martial is one of the dudes that's been following me, and tell him to just go to Gaul, France, and evangelize and bring the good news. Okay, and then so Peter now going and talking to Martial. So that's another picture. So Peter now is telling, you know what Jesus told me? So you got selected to go to Gaul and then just do your job there, okay? And then Martial, of course, and then Peter gives Martial this wand, huge wand, magic wand, and he hands it to him. And then with this wand, Martial is going to perform numerous miracles to the point of bringing back to life dead people. And that's so he's going to cure some sick people, people who are maybe possessed by demons or mentally ill. So they're all of these stories completely got fabricated, and he keeps using his staff, almost like a wand, magic wand, to perform his miracles. This is a dead man resuscitated, and he's going to found all of these churches in Gaul. So that's why you have this particular picture. And then when he dies, the whole top brass of Christianity comes and shows up to his funeral. So again, to build legitimacy to the presence of the popes in Avignon, they created all this iconography. Uh, the condition of the frescoes in this is uneven. Some parts are also pretty much defaced, but it's pretty good shape. So hopefully we'll be able to come and look and admire and recognize some of those scenes as we look at. So these there are cavernous rooms in this Pope's Palace, but they did something really fun, is that they give you a tablet, and the tablet actually acts in such a way that you see the furnishing as you're pointing out. As you move the tablet, you see where the tables are, you see where the seats are, where the thrones are, where the people are standing. So it's quite amazing how the tablet works that way. So it doesn't really feel empty thanks to the use of this technology. There is also a beautiful uh, chapel, or yeah, the Great Chapel. And every time we went there, either somebody was singing or a group of people were singing completely impromptu, and you really realize it has a absolutely beautiful acoustics. So I hope that when we are there, some people, maybe a soloist or a group of people, will come and sing, and we can hear how these walls are resonating, because that's something that hasn't changed in hundreds of years. It's just resonate the same way. Okay, so there's a rooftop terrace. Sometimes we can get there, sometimes we cannot, but the views are magnificent if we can make it um, from there. And you can take some quite striking pictures. Okay, so we are coming close to ending our lecture, but before, the Rocher des Dômes, Jardin des Dômes, which is the dome's garden right there. So that's kind of a little hilltop there, and there's a beautiful little garden. I don't know if we'll have time to go there. Maybe we'll have time to have a little cafe. Depends on, we'll have to play it by ear, because I do have another plan on that day for us to go somewhere which is new. And I'm going to keep this as a little secret, as a little surprise. But anyway, so it's a beautiful little garden with great views. So hopefully we'll have time to go there and take some pictures of the countryside from there, and of course the Pont d'Avignon. Okay, so uh, we will go, of course, at the very end after we visit the palace, to the Pont d'Avignon, and so this is where I need to teach you how to dance this. Okay, so we need to ask for this fellow to come. let's see, where is he? His name is Enguerrand Carton. Monsieur Enguerrand Carton. He lived between 1410 1466. Well, he happens to be an awesome painter. One of his paintings, one of my absolute favorite paintings of all times, is by him, and it's at the Louvre. But I'm not here to talk about that. But anyway, so I asked him to please come and show us how to dance because, of course, he knows how to do that. So it goes. Let's see. So let's see if he has to. He has to come, right? Okay. So here he is sur le pont d'Avignon. On y danse sur le pont d'Avignon. On y danse tout en rond. Les beaux monsieur font comme ça. Et puis encore comme ça. Sur le pont d'Avignon, on y danse sur le pont d'Avignon. On y danse tout en rond. Oh, tous en rond. Les belles dames font comme ça. Et puis encore comme ça. Sur le pont d'Avignon, on y danse sur le pont d'Avignon, on y danse tous en rond. Okay, so that's it. I mean, it wasn't that hard, was it? So basically, heel toe, and then hop, 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 heel toe, and then we twirl, and then we say boys are going to bow once, and da, da, da. And then after that, heel toe, and then the ladies they do the curtsy, and then they do the curtsy again. So okay, so that's what. So you have the video. I'm gonna send this, and you need to learn this. Okay, hop, hop, hop. I'm not gonna show this again. And then I'm just basically going to see you in Provence. And thank you for joining me today.
Merci mille fois.
Oh, there you go.
Merci, merci.
De rien, de rien. À la
À
prochaine.
bientôt.
À
À
bientôt.
bientôt.
All right.
Thank
So,
you.
our little, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I have no
Ed
idea
and
whether.
Nina collected. Ed and Nina just came in for the
Great. Yes,
meeting
because
as travelers.
after I take your questions, I will be having a meeting with our travelers,
Okay.
and I hope you. I mean, anybody fell asleep over this story? Was it?
I saw the last bit of the dance, Sevan.
Oh, you got to
and
dance.
and I want to know, where did you get that hairstyle?
Oh, that hairstyle. There is a shop called eBay, and it sells perruque, wigs of any style. I highly recommend it if you ever start losing your beautiful hair. Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun.
Okay, so all right. So looks like I am not getting too many questions. And next week we're gonna be talking about Van Gogh in Provence. Okay, so that's gonna be quite interesting. Everybody knows him, and maybe some of you know is familiar with his life, but it's quite interesting, very touching. So I wanted to finish with that. And I will not be most likely again in my office when I give that lecture next week. I need to be in New York City. So
Thank you, Sevan.
my pleasure, friend. So nice to
you.
see you. Tell
It's
George
like
that
a
I got
gift.
his pictures from Sicily. They came down very perfectly well. Technology success.
Okay. It was like a biblical soap opera today. Thank you.
Biblical soap opera, yes.
All right. Bye for now.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
You too.
And thank you, Sevan.
Thank you, Harriet. Thanks for joining me.
How do I get off?
Thank you very much.
Oui, oui, bien sûr, mais je dois devenir host. I have to become a host again. Let's see how we. You know what? Let's see. I think I'm just gonna pull this and hope that it's gonna work out. Yep. Okay. Do you have any suggestion on what would be good things to do March 23 in Nice? March 23. What's March 23? One moment. Let me pull my. Since I'm not in my environment and I rushed to come here. I don't have everything with me. So let's see. I had my itinerary.
Well, may I tell you what I'm thinking of doing?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And then I'd like to hear your reaction.
Sure.
So I understand on the 23rd, on Monday the 23rd, it looks like there's a possibility of catching a kind of boat tour that would leave it from Nice and then go east toward Aise, and then with the final destination being Monaco. It's a 5-hour trip, and while in Aise, they're stopping at the Fragonard Perfumery. Is anyone else interested in joining? They would pick us up at the hotel. And you'd like to go? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Not so interested in the perfumery, but I hear there's a beautiful place to have tea in Eza. Is it Ez or Eza? I've been there once, but it was too brief, so I want to go back. But as that time of year, the boat wouldn't be too still kind
jumpy. Well, it's only a half an hour. It's in half an hour spurts, and I would think it would be sort of fun seeing these towns from the sea.
Would. Sevan, do you have an opinion? Did you have some other ideas for what we could do that day we arrive early? Is Sevan listening? Maybe not.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
So what I was going to do, perhaps, stick around in Nice. There is a little tourist train, like a baby train. Take that and go to the top of their hill that's has views of Nice from above, and that's where their castle used to be. The medieval castle used to be on the very top. Whenever they were invaded, all the population will go up there and find refuge there. So I was going to maybe walk up there, and on the way over there is also a Jewish cemetery, which is famous for all the fallen Jews during the Second World War. So it's kind of a beautiful place. And then after very top, the garden is gorgeous. And then maybe we can take the train then back down to the town. So this was one thing that I was thinking that we could do. That could be kind of a fun thing to do, but it's very local. There is also a museum, Messina Museum, but I'm not sure if it's open on that day. What is the 23rd? It's Monday. So
Monday.
And
the Picasso Museum is closed in Antibes on Monday.
Yeah. So yeah, the French museums sometimes close either on Monday or on Tuesday, depending, but they don't all close on either Monday or Tuesday. So there's an alternation. So I wasn't really trying to plan that very much because the tour doesn't start until 5:30 when we do the meet and greet. But if we want, we can do that, or I can do that, and whoever wants to come with me, that's fine. I did look at boats 2 years ago when I was trying to, consider doing something like that. And I knew that many of those excursions are closed during that period. It's not the high season. So it's a good
Right.
concern, something to check.
Well, Anne, I would stay in contact with you. I'll send you the link to what I found.
Great.
One service Rick Steves recommends, but they don't operate on Mondays. And this one, yeah, that's. But this company does. I just happened to find them online. They will, according to their website or their information, they pick you up at the hotel. They bring you to their boat. Then the tour begins. They do a little drive around Nice, so they do some sightseeing, but I think the route is to the harbor, and then they take you out on the boat and make the stops, and then come back, and it seems like at the Fragonard perfumery, which sounds interesting to me, but it also, you've been there already. Too stinky. Well, I'm kind of interested in how they would do it, but I'm sure it's like on the verge of a real tourist trap, and probably they earn a nice commission off of people coming and going. But I'm a hard sell. So, and actually, this is less expensive than the company that Rick Steves recommended. And it might be because it's very short. The whole experience is 5 hours, and they leave at 8:30 in the morning. So we would be back in the afternoon in time for a nap, and be ready for dinner at 5:30.
Great. So that's a great plan. Please include me on your email. I like to look at it also. If I need to call them to double check that they're open, they are closed, I'm more than happy to try to do that.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. Yeah. And so that sounds
I
like
have
a
a
good
question.
plan.
I have a question.
Sure.
At any time when we're in Nice, will we be seeing the Russian Orthodox Church? I heard that
No, I
was,
don't have it on my itinerary.
so that might be something I'm considering doing on that Monday.
Yeah, it's a lovely church. Certainly has a nice history, dedicated to a prince who died in Nice. So that's actually, you could do that in the afternoon of Tuesday, 24th, and then, or in the afternoon of Thursday, after the visit to the Negresco art collection. You may want to do that. Yeah, just grab a taxi or something. It's not far. You can even probably walk. But yeah, so you have some time to do this kind of things, but not too many free times. My tours are notorious for not giving too much free times, unfortunately, and I haven't managed how to correct that.
With Sevan, do you have any recommendations concerning dress codes or clothing? Anywhere where we're going where we need to be dressed a certain way?
The French in general are much more stylish than Americans. Americans, they tend to be putting the emphasis on comfort and on relax, on things like that. The French, they do put a certain emphasis on how they look, on style. Sometimes the contrast when I come from, especially directly from Nice to JFK, can be just like jaw-dropping. It's like, wow, I came from another planet. That said, in terms of formal getting dressed and all that, the only time maybe there may be a little bit of pressure on that will be when we go to the concert in X. I can only think on that occasion. When we go to the Negresco, I think it would be nice to be dressed properly. It's their most luxurious hotel. We're going to have lunch there,
Yes.
and we're going to see an art collection there with their guide. So we better look cool, okay?
And when is
Well,
this?
So that one, the Negresco is on Thursday.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
it occurred to me just to pack maybe a blue blazer
Yeah.
and a tie just in case.
Yeah, I don't think you, I mean, the tie maybe for the concert, but that's not for lunch. Yeah.
What
So
about the lunch you were so excited about in Saint-Tropez? Isn't that sort of a dressy lunch, wouldn't you
no,
think?
the
No,
Central
okay,
Play, no. It's a lunch. It's out. It's actually, if the weather is nice, will maybe even be spilled outside.
okay.
No, not necessarily too formal at all. I mean, like I said, in general, French people, they tend to pay attention to the way we are dressed. People are dressed. But I'm not talking, jackets, blazer and all that, huh? Just a nice shirt and nice pants, and that's it. I mean, no big deal, just to look respectful. I don't know.
And what do you think about water time at the beach? Will the water be too cold to want to put our feet into the Mediterranean?
You will find people swimming on the beaches who are free and accessible. And they do it all year round because some people, cold is a very relative thing. They just don't feel it. I mean, to me, I wouldn't even come close to let alone dipping my toes. So if you are not bothered by cold weather, by all means, you should definitely experience that and come back to Cincinnati and tell everyone that you swam on the Riviera.
And what are you anticipating in terms of rain?
Well,
We should expect rain.
in past, I had a lot of good weather. I don't really remember rain having affected to the point where it's now comes to mind as an impediment or some really a problem. It tends to be we tend to have far many days that are sunny and beautiful than rainy. That's what I can tell you. But you never know with weather, of course. Those are all good questions. Jean, you have a question?
Yes, I know I came in a little bit late. You were talking about people who are coming in a day early. I'll be arriving on Monday, the 23rd itself.
Mhm.
So is there anything I should be aware of in terms of who and how I connect with whoever would be there from the airport?
Well, I will have a driver greeting you. As we come closer to date, I will share with all of you, one way or another, the name and the phone number of the driver.
Okay.
Yeah, as we come closer, I will also tell you whether other travelers are going to join you in the vehicle. So all of these things are going to be worked out next week.
Okay.
So yeah, but you will have a driver holding a sign with your name or the name of Art Blazing to identify himself or herself.
Okay, and then returning on the first, there's group 1 and group 2.
Right.
And how are those groups? How do we know if we're in group 1 or if we're in group 2? Is it based on our time?
Yeah, on your departure time. So you will take the earlier. Well, there is one that's really leaving super early, like a 3 a.m., 4 a.m., something crazy like that.
Oh, no.
So you
Okay.
probably don't need that. So it's probably going to be on
On group
group two.
2,
Yeah.
that's the 9:30. I think it leaves at 9:30 in the morning.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. And just something which you all may already know, but just in terms of time, there's going to be a time change of daylight savings on the 29th of March in Europe, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, what day is happening?
I think it happens on the 29th of March, which is a
Okay.
Sunday. That's when we just changed our clocks. I believe that's when
Right.
Europe changes their clocks.
Okay, we just have to make sure that we don't
Actually,
mess up
the
something,
30th.
right?
Yeah, I just figured while we're talking about time, that's,
The
Yeah.
daylight savings time in Europe goes on the 30th, just to be precise. So right now they're 5 hours off difference from us on the East Coast, and
that's right.
factor that into your connections over there.
Well, that just means that I was just thinking in terms of we're going to still be in the south, but okay.
So yeah,
So as of Sunday, we're on a new time. We're an
right.
hour ahead.
Luckily, we're not flying the next
You're not
day,
flying.
so we're
I know
not
that'd
freaking
be,
out whether we have the right time or not.
yeah,
So it should be okay. We should be able to manage that. Yeah.
okay.
But it's good that you said. I mean, I forgot about this little detail.
Well, it
Do
was
you
just,
have any suggestions relating to the amount of euros that we would need for maybe museum entries outside of the tips? And will we have a number of people providing separate tours of cathedrals, etc., for tips?
I think most of your expenses are going to be done using a credit card, not cash. Cash is going to be, I think, very, very rare. Now, cash may be handy, let's say, on those nights where you are dining on your own, and maybe you are as a group, and then you got the bill, and then you have to divide up the bill. Instead of everybody maybe putting a card and then try to have it the establishment divided to all those cards, maybe one card can be handed and everybody else pays that person by cash. So there may be a cash transaction, use of cash at that time as a group. But otherwise, a lot of the other thing is that, it's always good to have cash for emergency. So, have, in your pocket, I think, 50, 100 euros just in case. But what's that case? I don't even know. But it always feels good to have cash at hand for some reason. But a lot of your expenses are going to be using a credit card.
Are there bank machines that are convenient in Nice?
Yeah, I mean, there are ATMs. They call them automat over there. They have ATMs. But I have near our hotel actually an exchange bureau who's managed by a friend of my sister who lives in Nice. So they are very decent people and they are not overcharging from what I know. So whenever I go there, I used to go with my father with dollars, and then we will exchange to euros over there. And it's basically a block and a half from our hotel. So if you bring cash, hard cash, you can exchange right there. Otherwise, the automats, the ATMs are available. Okay. Yes.
I have a couple questions and a comment about that. I've found when I brought cash the last couple of times to Europe, it was harder to get that than to use a debit card. I
Yes.
think a debit card is far superior in most cases to trying to exchange actual dollars,
I
currency.
absolutely agree with you. And I had a very hard time when I was in Sicily and in Malta to find the kind of place that's not going to overcharge you and take a huge commission, which I end up finding, but it wasn't easy. However, in Nice, it just happens that I know this bureau. It is really close up to our hotel. It's super convenient. But other places, yeah, I definitely will discourage to deal with cash. Yeah, but here in Nice, you can bring cash and safely exchange it at the bureau, was
Okay.
run by a friend.
And so my second question is, do you suggest we bring our own reusable water bottle, or are we going to be having to buy water a lot anyway, and we'll just be using single-use plastic?
It's a good question. Well, if you fill your bottle, I don't know how big it is, maybe from the morning, then you will have it. But the water from the tap is perfectly potable. So if you want to just go to the restroom, let's say at lunchtime, and fill your bottle. Or at lunchtime, we're gonna have, bottles of water just spread out on the table, so you can actually take one of them and then fill your bottle with one of those.
Mhm.
And
So-
those bottles are actually glass bottles.
Yeah. So it's on your last trip, for example, it's not something you carried around your own water bottle. Doesn't
No,
sound.
I didn't know. No, I didn't. So I just went to the next meal or went to my hotel when I needed to have water. No, and I'm not, no, my sister is one that carries her own bottle and needs to hydrate a lot. I tend to drink a lot, and then after that, I just don't need to do until next meal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by the end of this meeting today, will we have a way of getting in touch with each other?
So after this, I'm going to create a group using WhatsApp. Now, if you don't have WhatsApp, I encourage you to download the app and then sign up to that so that you can have a way to communicate using WhatsApp. However, WhatsApp works if you're connected to the internet, and you can connect to the internet, as you know, either for Wi-Fi or using your cell phone provider's data if you have an international plan. But WhatsApp is very convenient because I can create a group, a chat, and then we can communicate to the whole group that way. Does that answer your question?
Sure. Sometimes you just get numbers and you don't know which one's which. So like if Edward and I is it Edward? Want to talk about the boat? Will I know the number be associated with his name?
So
I use WhatsApp all the time, so I'm good with that.
So if there's a number that you don't know who that is, you can ask the question to the group, say, hey, this is number and I don't know who that is, or you can ask me. And if you are comfortable, I'm more than happy to share everyone's emails. Just send me, when you're listening to this, send me an email if you want to keep it private and you don't want to share it. I totally understand. I don't want to assume that it's okay. But if I don't hear from you, let's say within 20, 24, 48 hours with instruction about emails not to be shared, then I will share everyone's email so that you all have that as well.
Time, how many persons are going to be on the tour?
Well, it's a good question. So we are 12 travelers, and I think I have to break the news that there's a very strong possibility that Maria is not going to be able to join us. She is overwhelmed with work, even though it's going to be during her break. She's not able to free herself from her obligations. And so my sister is prepared to take her spot. Actually, it's not Shada. I have another sister in France. Her name is Hera. She lives in Nice, out of all places, and she has checked her schedule, her calendar. So she's local, obviously, and she speaks English pretty well. She's prepared to be with us and be my co-host. As a co-host, usually their main function is to make sure that nobody gets lost, that people kind of stay together. So the co-host often stays behind, and then I tend to be at the head of the tail, and then also helps with restaurants and things like that. But also is also a very, very useful social presence. And my sister Hera is a delightful person, and I'm sure you will very much enjoy her company. But I mean, if Maria cannot make it, I'm definitely going to miss her. But I just wanted to warn you that it's taking that direction.
Well, did I misunderstand? Shada is not coming.
No, Shada is not coming. Shada is my co-host for Istanbul.
Yeah.
And
Here.
here she is. So she's
If she's not coming, I don't want to go, actually.
I know. This is a chance we missed it. I know. No, I'm not coming, but I was in Nice in February, and I can tell you there were some people in the water swimming, Not many, but there were a few. On a beautiful sunny day, a lot of people were at the beach, and you can certainly dip your toe in the water. And it will be even warmer now because it's going to be at least a month later. As far as euros, I have also gotten euros at my bank right here, gone to Chase and gotten euros. If you give them if you're not going to withdraw too much and you give me enough notice, they'll have them for you. I usually carry 100 to 200 euros cash. I like to have a little cash, the freedom of having cash, but the rest is very, very easily actually touch-free, credit card or debit card. I was listening to all your questions. Yeah, the little train is nice that goes to the chateau above with a beautiful view. I have not done the boat trip you're talking about it, so I don't know. Although I did read about it, and I want to do that one time myself. But I'm sure it will be lovely if you get to do that. Anything else that I'm thinking of? I can't.
No, I mean, I think we covered a lot.
We
These are
covered everything.
last minute things. Yeah, I mean, it's let's see. Was it? Oh, I wanted to tell you that that I will be actually, instead of coming 2 days, 3 days before, I'll be coming the day before the meet and greet. So in other words, I'll be coming on the 22nd. And I want to tell you that the dinner for the 22nd, I cannot make myself available. I would have loved to, but I have to see my family. Hela's son has 2 children, and I haven't seen them in a long time. So the only time that I can see them will be on that Sunday night. So I'm going to ask you guys to make your own dinner plans on that Sunday. Again, it's prior to the tour. In any case, however, I was hoping that maybe we can all have dinner at that time, but I won't be able to be present. So Sunday night, you're on your own for dinner.
You might relate to Ed that he would not necessarily need a swimming suit.
That's exactly right. You. So the other thing I wanted to check is that on the afternoon of Tuesday, after we do the walking tour of the Old Town Nice, there's going to be choices. Either we are tired, we're gonna go and you want to take a nap. Either you want to hang out in the Old Town where there's many shops and all that, and maybe you want to just stroll around. Or you want to go to an art museum, the Fine Art Museum. So in any case, if we go to the Fine Art Museum, I just want to inform you that I do not have transport for that because it's kind of loose and it's kind of on our free time, so it's optional. So we will take the tram and some public transportation to go to that Fine Art Museum. If any of you, even if it's one of you, choose to go, I will certainly go to that museum with you if that's what you want to do. If you wish to go to the hotel and then you don't know the way, Hela will be happy, my sister will be happy to escort you back to the hotel. Now, if a third group wants to stick around and want to take a chance and they don't mind maybe getting lost a little bit, or they have a GPS or something, they can find their way. But this is all close and walking distance from our hotel. Okay, we're talking 10 minutes away, 15 minutes tops from our hotel.
Sevan, how are we actually getting from place to place? Let's say from not just within the town we're in, but from one town to the other. Are there cars, buses, vans, or how will we be moving from place to place?
It's all minibus. It's all 19-seater minibus that we have
Okay,
chartered. Yeah.
okay.
There's one funny situation in X. Our hotel is in a pedestrian zone where only taxis and official cars can enter. and our hotel is in there. So which means that our minibus will not be able to approach and drop us off at the hotel. So how do we do that? We go to a regular bus station right outside the pedestrian area where we meet a van. We put all our luggage in the van, and that van is allowed to go inside the pedestrian area. So the van is going to take all our luggage to the hotel, and we will walk from that bus station to our hotel, which again is no more than 5-10 minutes, but we cannot be dropped off at our hotel. That's a little
This is
something.
X
That's in X, yeah.
and X.
Okay. So are we all good?
Yes.
I'd like to bring up one thing. In case I haven't heard this before from you guys, but Rick Steves has two of his episodes on Europe from the area we're visiting. There's season 3, episodes 8 and 9, which is the French Riviera and then Interior Provence, 2 different episodes. We watched it last night.
Yeah.
It actually has a photo or a scene of the hotel that we're staying at in Arles, the Caleron.
No.
Yeah.
Cool.
But they're both quite excellent. And he's visiting and he has scenes from a couple of museums that we'll be visiting. So you can get a nice preview of where we're going to be going.
Great.
Okay.
Well, again, in a day or two, if I don't hear from you, I'm going to share everyone's emails, and please share this kind of information freely if you feel like it. I'm sure that some of us are going to eat this up.
Right.
Yes, Jean?
Yeah, I was looking at the itinerary on Tuesday, March 31st. You have surprise visit.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
Well, it's a surprise visit.
Surprise.
It wouldn't be a surprise. But I just
I'm
went,
just going to say it's a bridge.
pardon me?
Oh, no, I won't say it again. That was just one time, and you miss your opportunity to hear it. Oh, no. No. Okay, it's another bridge. It's another, but there is one person who knows among us because it was her
Okay.
idea.
I won't.
And that was Anne's idea. Anne said, "Hey, Sevan, are we gonna do this?" I'm like, you know what?
Okay.
Let me look
It'll
into
still
it.
be a surprise.
It's still a surprise, and I think you guys are gonna love this. It's really a special place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sevan, have you been in touch or appraised of any airport difficulties that might take place in Europe? Right now, you know, a lot of our airports are undergoing a lot of stress
Right.
and visiting and getting people on planes. Do you anticipate anything like this in Europe, or have you been appraised of anything?
Well, if you are concerned about whether the war in the Middle East is affecting or is creating some situation in Europe with the airports, I'm really not aware of anything like that. I always find navigating in Charles de Gaulle sometimes challenging, but nothing to do with the current events. But it's not my favorite airport to do transfers or transits. But no, I am not aware of anything. But I hear that here in our country, many airports are under stress and are having a hard time to fill the spots with the TSA needs. So just expect potential delays and just come earlier than usual, maybe easily 3 hours prior to make sure that you go through security on time. I have 2 chat messages. Let me see if these are questions on what would be good things to do on life in this. So we do that. Sign up, no. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anything else? You guys know where to find me if you have questions. So tomorrow I'll share everyone's emails so that we can have exchanges of informations, the YouTube video links, and all of this will be lovely. I will certainly welcome. And then also about this idea of doing something earlier the day before. No, the day of the meet and greet in the morning. I think those details will be interesting to investigate, see if there's an activity that can be done. That sounds fun. I might even try to join in. Let's see if I can do that. And yeah, so on the night of Sunday night when I need to go see my family, on that night I had made reservation at a restaurant that has couscous, because I love couscous. If you guys are interested in me keeping that reservation, I think I probably will need to know that and let them know that we are going to, that some of you will go there unless you want to go to somewhere much closer. So I don't know what to do about it, but there is a couscous restaurant. It's very cute. It's about 15-minute walk from our place. Not too hard to find, but somebody with GPS will need to lead the group if we want to, and I won't be able to take you guys there. So I'm not sure
What is the name of the restaurant?
Le Bédouin chez Michel. Le Bédouin chez Michel. Le Bédouin. Bédouin. Le Bédouin chez C-H-E-Z Michel. So I had reserved 7 spots for that restaurant when my plans were different. But now that I have to go, I can't be with you all. I don't know what to do. So if
And what time? Quelle heure?
So à quelle heure? À 19h, at 7 p.m. I have a reservation at 7 p.m. Oh, the restaurant, all they have is just couscous. They don't even have anything else, but they have a variety of couscous. And they have good wine, and it's really a mom and pop thing. They're just basically barely 5 or 6 tables. It's very small, it's cute, but one of you needs to be really comfortable with GPS to lead the rest, at least. If there's going to be a group going there. And I don't know what your plans are with regard to having international plan, whether you're going to have internet and data the whole time or not. I would love to know who's planning on having, cell phone service the whole time. You will, so that's really great. Okay, great. Yeah, I see Chuck and Viv. All right, so I know you guys are seasoned travelers, so you could probably, take the GPS and then lead people in case they need to follow someone.
I'm planning to have it also, Rick.
That's great, Rick. Okay, so looks like it's going to be fine. I'll keep the reservation. I'm definitely going to make it for 6 since I can't be there. It's always okay if fewer people come. It's better to have fewer than more people because then they're not expecting it. So I'll tell them 6 people will be coming. And then if some of you drop out because you're tired or you want something else, you can always do that. But at least I'm keeping the reservation. I don't think you'll regret it. It's a fun place.
We can cover this in the WhatsApp if you want, but that might be a night when I want to go to bed earlier. So is 6 p.m. reservation a possibility? Would people want to do 6 p.m.?
Great idea. I'll move it to 6 p.m. Certainly.
Is that okay with other people?
Fine with me.
Fine with me.
All right. Okay, listen, I don't want to hold you guys further. I just can't wait to see you all together. I think we're gonna have a terrific time. This is a fantastic group. So we can look forward to this. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes.
But good times ahead of us.
Tell Maria to get working on her projects and come with us.
I know, I'll definitely try to, but she was quite pessimistic. So
Yeah.
Unless for miracle, I think we're gonna be with my sister Helen, she's delightful, but it's always Maria is big shoes to fill. So, but I'll keep you guys posted if any changes happen.
They do.
Thank you. All right, then I'll see you guys very soon. Be well. And actually, I still have one lecture next week. So I'll see you again. If there are more questions, we still have time.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bonsoir.